Hello, hello, hello. You all are tuning in for another episode of Be Victorious. And guess what? I'm here. It's Dr. Torie here. And let me tell you something. We have been asking questions. I've been seeing it everywhere. Black men need to take care of their mental health. Well, guess what? They've been doing that. And I actually had to reach out to someone that I admire tremendously. His name is Jason Phillips. Not only is he a Black man, but he's a therapist. You at Jason?
Hey, Dr. Torie. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, why not? This podcast has actually opened up doors, it's educated people, and I am glad that you are here. We share the same mental health space on Instagram. So I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about ACEs.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I mean, ACEs, I started incorporating it into my practice a few years ago, and it's done work. So I'll let you get into all of that, but I do support ACEs for sure.
And guess what? I knew that. And I wanted you to be the person to share it with other therapists because it can help out tremendously. So if you don't mind me asking, what's your ACEs score?
Oh, you're gonna add off the top of my head.
No. But do you have one?
I do have one.
Okay. Now let me retract. You actually said you use it in your practice. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's impactful. I think people have to understand that score is it's just a score. It's a number. It doesn't define you. It doesn't do oh my God, I got a 10. Oh my God, the earth is going to go over. No, it just lets you know the different characteristics, the different qualities, the different things that you fit in. And a lot of people fit in one category. Some people fit in three. I tell people all the time, my 4 to 6, it just depends on the day, honestly, depends on household dysfunction. So that was my thing. But I've met people with high scores of abuse or neglect. So there's things out there. And here recently, you know that the CDC updated everything.
Yeah.
Because mental health is at an all-time high. So things like bullying is
Mm-hmm.
considered an ACE.
Mm-hmm.
Things like community violence. I love y'all, but I spent all of my education in Chicago. So all of my education came from Chicago.
I'm
And
from Detroit. Yeah, not to interrupt. Yeah, I'm from Detroit. Yeah.
so cool. No, for real. Oh, okay. So you really know community violence is pretty much the city of Detroit.
No, yeah, yeah, right. Because y'all right down the street.
Yep. So the community violence for Chicago, boom. And then I actually moved during COVID to Dallas.
Yeah. And I'm in North Carolina now.
Mm.
So it's a
So,
lot different.
so what do you think? What do you tell your client that has an ACEs score, period? What do you tell them?
So I don't let them let the score define them. But I will say this about the ACEs and why I really like it because my background has been in trauma. So working with trauma, CPT, PE, different modalities. But when people are taking the ACEs assessment, it's eye-opening for them. I mean, there's all types of different assessments, caps, and SIGI caps. But with the ACEs, it starts to unlock something. It is a very simple set of questions. But when you have rapport with the person you're working with, they feel comfortable opening up. They start to reflect on different experiences from childhood. I remember, plenty of times, but one time stands out where a young lady took the ACEs test, and she was just in tears.
I believe it. I believe
Mm-hmm.
it was for me, it wasn't just the score, it was the delivery of the score. So for me, it was Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris.
Okay.
That TED talk she did woke
Yeah.
all the way up.
I showed that TED talk to I'm a adjunct professor and I teach human behavior, and I showed that in one of our classes this semester. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It changed my whole entire life. It answered questions that I didn't get a chance to get answered. And that is the reason why when I went to get my doctorate degree, my dissertation chair said, do something that you want to do research about, do something that you have questions about, something that you love. I love my family, me. And I started doing the research on ACEs, and that's exactly what I did my dissertation on. Wow. So I went to the CDC, asked for permission, got the questions, did what I needed to do. They won't give you permission to use the questions that they use for Kaiser Permanente.
Right. Okay.
There's a question that they kind of dimmed down. The problem was at the time, that was 1996, 1998, and there were no changes. So I started noticing once I was doing things that these things needed to be updated. So some of my recommendations are the recommendations that they actually have on the website.
So you were already on the same page.
Yeah. So I was excited to see bullying, you know what I mean? Or cyberbullying, especially with us going through COVID. I was excited, happy, because it happens all the time.
For sure. For sure.
Violence for me, especially for you now, because I you were from Detroit.
Yeah, so the thing about being from Detroit, so many things that we experience, in the city like Detroit, Chicago, are very much normalized.
It is.
So that's why I talk about the ACEs, and I think my score was around a 5. A lot of it was from my father, but he wasn't in the house all the time. So thankfully, some of the experiences I probably avoided because he wasn't in the house. And I didn't have to witness a lot of things. And we'll get into that. But, being from Detroit is very normal, at least in my neighborhood, to have one parent in the household. I didn't feel like something was wrong. Like if you had 2 parents, it's like, okay, that's dope. That's cool. But I didn't feel like less than.
Right.
Or if you had a parent who had been incarcerated, it was like, oh, your cousin come home or your pop's coming home. Okay, cool. Like I saw him the other day on the porch, so he back.
Normal conversation.
It was like normal. It wasn't like, oh man, what happened to you? It wasn't that type of energy.
And it never and it's the reason why we're talking now, because we've normalized it. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with having it. It's us. Yeah. It's our culture. It's
very much
us. But I think if people understand, it can answer so many questions about our childhood and help us, like health or relationships.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay, let's be clear. I'm the educator. You're the therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want it. You could keep it, but I will support you 110% because this is what you're doing. I think it should be for every therapist, especially going through trauma or talking about it as an introduction so they can understand and know.
It helps so much because, again, a very simple assessment, but it's powerful when you start to ask questions about neglect or a family member who had mental health issues or your parents being divorced, separated. Like, it's like, oh, okay, this means something. This is how I'm showing up now as an adult, especially, when you're talking to 30, 40, 50-year-olds, and they're like, oh, wow. I had somebody who's doing phenomenal, but their ACEs score was a 10. A 10. Yep. Doing phenomenal. So just the resilience in that person to see like, wow, I've been through, I'm checking all the boxes, but this is who I am today. Dang, okay.
That's us.
Yeah.
And guess what? I hate that we normalize this really because there's nothing wrong with having aces. And the fact that we've normalized it, I just want people to understand and know that we have it, accept it, and do something about it.
Yeah.
That's
So
part of it. It is. It's the reason why you're here, because a lot of the normalization goes on the fact that people don't want to go to therapy.
no, especially like now I'm seeing more adults. I'm seeing more men. I'm seeing more men now than ever. You probably could guess that from what you see in the media, but a couple years ago, my practice was filled with women, roughly like 28 to 35. And I had sprinkles of men here and there, but now it's pretty much reversed, where I have a few women, but mostly men.
That's a good thing, right?
It's great. It's great. I'm excited. You know, when I can show up and hold space for a brother or a man who's like been hurting or needs to get some things off his chest, wants to process something, wants to elevate himself, and I can be a vessel for that. It's amazing.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a pause on it. You are a Black man. That's a
Yeah.
therapist. That's a professor with aces. And you're okay. What made you go into therapy?
You know, I always wondered, you know, being from Detroit, just being curious about like why some people are able to go through certain challenges and why some people struggle. So you may be you know, you have a family of 3 or 4 kids. This kid ends up going to prison. This kid goes to the military. This kid is as a professor. Like, how do they come up to these choices? Or this person is affiliated with gangs. I was literally just to myself thinking about some friends I knew or people I grew up with, and I was thinking about the different brothers. I'm like, they all in the same house. They were raised by their grandparents, but one went to the military, one was in prison before I didn't know him, and then one was really deeply affiliated with gangs. And I'm just thinking, how did they all make those different choices? So psychology was my first passion, and then I ended up earning my master's in social work.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. I get it. My undergrad is in psychology too. So I think that's the reason why I kind of to you, because great minds think alike. Yes, I did the research aspect. I actually was interested in research my sophomore year in high school. So more the research part of it. And then that's when I understood psychology had so many different spaces that you can go in. And I like numbers. I don't know. I like it. It's just something about it. And not just that, but the research aspect of it. And I will share with you, I have 3 girls, and I think the research aspect like hit them bad. They're great at math and they research everything. So I got little know-it-alls, and it's like I don't want to knock them for it, but they're pretty good. So yeah, I get it. I get it wholeheartedly, the psychology, social work aspect of it. What about you talked about going to college? Are you a first generation high school grad?
No, so my grandparents, both on my mom's side, they both graduated from college.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
they both were in the social work field. So they both were social workers. So that was ironic. But seeing them in their realm of social work, it deterred me because they were more inundated with a lot of paperwork, a lot of case management. My grandmother worked for the state. My grandfather worked for the Salvation Army. And it just did not seem like a lucrative position. So I was like, I want to help people, but not like y'all are helping people until I got to my last year of undergrad when I found out more about what an MSW can do and LCSW. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad. You know, not hating on social work, but like I just was not, you know, it just didn't have a great outlook what I saw growing up. So my grandparents both graduated from college. My mom, both my parents attended college, but they didn't finish. And then my sister and I, we both graduated.
Yay. Okay. So in the family, it was mom, dad, and sister.
On my mom's side. On my dad's side, I have an older brother and older sister.
Got it. So blended family.
Blended family, yeah.
How we all are.
Oh, yeah, it's very, again, very, very normal, right? So all of my friends, yeah, all of my friends, close friends, have blended families.
Mhm. Mhm. And not to say, you guys, that blended families it's okay.
Right.
We all have blended families. Let's be clear, it's fine.
Yeah.
But for some blended families, there's that situation where the ACEs score could actually help you because it answers some of those questions on that questionnaire. So just to give you a heads up, you guys, it's okay. We're just trying to show you guys, as far as normalization of ACEs, why people do it. And the thing is, we do it a lot in the Black community because we want to think that these things are normal, and they are in our community. However, there's some things that we have to address. So the questions that I'm asking are just typical questions. That's it, you guys. Don't say, Dr. Torie said, Jason said. No, these are just things so you all know.
Right.
Got it.
It would be great if we all had ACEs scores of 0.
Right.
It, it would be great. Realistic, probably not so much, but it would be amazing to have a 0, maybe a 1.
Right. And a lot of I have a mentorship, and all of them have like zeros and ones, and they're like, so what does that mean? I'm like, y'all, calm down. If you got a 0, that's good. Calm down. But then again, I have them retake it because their 0 might just be their 0 until they understand ACEs. So I actually seriously go and educate people on ACEs for real, because they don't know about it at all. Students, staff, professional development, the whole 9. So yes, it's okay, you guys. This is the reason why I have Jason on here, because he's going to help you understand that it's okay to go to therapy too. Why do you think people don't go?
So great. I think people are afraid, like they think that if they go to therapy, something is quote unquote wrong with them. They may be labeled, diagnosed with something, looked at as being crazy. And it's like, I can't fix my own problems. I need help. So as I said earlier, I'm seeing a lot more men, mostly men right now, but there's still tons of people who just still will not seek out therapy. I may be working with a partner and they're saying, yeah, my spouse will not talk to anybody. And that's a problem.
Now, your emphasis is in trauma, or what's your emphasis as far as therapy?
Now I specialize in anxiety and confidence, but I have a significant background in trauma.
Perfect. And your typical client here recently have been men.
Yes.
Do you take people only in North Carolina, or are you do the
I do tele, but I'm licensed in Michigan and North Carolina.
Wonderful. So you guys, if you're in Michigan or you're in North Carolina, here is a therapist that can help you, that gives the ACEs score from the beginning, or the ACEs assessment, let me say, to help you understand exactly your purpose for being there. I think you are amazing. If you have not seen Jason Phillips, please go to Instagram and check him out, because the things and the gems that he drops are very educational and supportive for people, not just people with ACEs, just people that are seeking mental health support.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Torie. I really appreciate that, because I put the content out on Instagram because I know everyone will not seek out therapy.
Mhm.
They just won't. Either they don't have the resources, they don't have the time, or they're not making the time, or they don't feel comfortable. So whatever we can do, yourself included, whatever we can do to help support someone on their healing journey, I'm appreciative and definitely want to do that.
So I got another question. Now, I sent questions, of course, but open space. What if you have someone that doesn't have insurance?
They can pay out of pocket. So I personally, I don't even accept insurance. So my my clients work with me. They are, self-pay, private pay. So I work with people on a sliding scale.
Because people are scared of that too. Am I correct?
You are very correct. I'll say this too. So I was talking to someone who I worked with years ago. And over time, uh, things change, rates change, fees change, all of that. But they said, I want to start work with you again because it was so, so, so impactful years ago. Like it helped me tremendously. And I said to them, we're gonna start meeting again. And I said, I'm happy to. And I also shared that you really can't put a value on your health, mental health, physical health. You can't.
So stop and pause. Therapist, professor, not accepting insurance, work with you on a sliding scale. You do teleservices. You actually talk to people in Michigan and North Carolina. You have Black men. You have women. I'm sure you have a variety. It's being a professor, period, or just having your business, period. Here we are, you guys. Here is a young man who said he has ACEs, has done something about it, and here we are. This is the Be Victorious podcast. I have to put myself out there because not only did we just educate you guys on what to do, how to do, pay, all of this, we're trying to get y'all in some therapy to help you out because these mental health numbers are at an all-time high. It's 1 in 6 now. They did the statistics. So 1 in 6 have ACEs. That's not a lot at all. Not a lot.
I'll say this. When you think about ACEs, the way I use it too is helping people understand how they show up, how they perceive themselves, how they engage in their relationships, how they parent their children, because it's such an eye opener when you look at those questions and you think, oh, wow, I hope I'm not doing this because this is what was done unto me. Because, the term generational trauma, we hear that a lot now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not knocking it, but I will say this, from being a therapist over the years and being able to look at different family members and families and see, like, if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't change your behavior or change some of your thought processes and work on your emotions, you can pass that down to your children, or it will show up in the family dynamic. And that's the part where if you can control it or if you can do something about it, I wholeheartedly encourage you to take action.
Thank you so much. I always share this story when someone talks about like physical abuse. I noticed my daughter used to say it all the time. She used to bring up this one situation with this red dress and how I picked her up and gave her a whooping. And so I asked her because she kept bringing it up. Adverse childhood experience, y'all. So I asked her, I was like, that bother you? She was like, yeah. She did this. Whereas someone might see that as corporal punishment, because I've heard that a lot too. Oh, weapons of corporal punishment. It had an adverse experience on her, you guys. It made me stop. Let's be clear. I find other ways. You take a phone from a kid and that they whole world shambles. So I found ways to take care of my kids, let's be clear. But she kept saying it. Like every time I was like, good example, you guys, that had an impact on her. And I don't engage in whoopings and things of that nature because of it was the person. It might not have an impact on me. You're the person that's doing it, but the person, it had an impact on her. And I think for me, as the person that was in our relationship. I'm divorced now, but I was the person that was the disciplinarian. Now that I'm wearing the full-time hat, it's like I got to do what works for me. And so I'm not going to do that to them. I've seen it. I heard it. I'm good. So giving them the ACEs score, it's like, so what's your ACEs score? They've taken the ACEs test, and it's funny. They have it.
So I think about when I do give the test, a lot of times people will say, well, I don't know if this was abuse, but I remember this one time where blank, 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 blank happened. And I'll never forget it. It may be abuse now, but I don't know, because back then that was just me getting checked. I probably did something, but it's always a singular event. And they're like, I don't know. I probably shouldn't have been as bruised as I was, or this shouldn't have hurt like that. But I still went to school. I'm good now. I'm good. I'm definitely good.
You
It'll
got
go something like that.
So just imagine for me when I'm going into schools and they're like, now my scores is you all are not in competition with each other. If you're a 0 or a 10, it's the understanding that you have to understand and know. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. But yeah. Oh, I got whooped, but it didn't really bother me that much. I had to go and get a extension cord and got whooped on Saturdays, but that didn't, or I had to go get this off a tree. Trust me, it's like, okay, I don't want to tell them that they have ACEs or that could be considered ACEs, but you guys, that could be considered ACEs. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in that situation, you might have ACEs. Sorry. We just need to get the understanding. Like I said, the normalizing is one thing, but know that normalizing it, I'm okay with normalizing it if we just understand that we all have it, because that's what I'm on now. Like any opportunity, I talk about it all the time. I'm waiting for Thanksgiving, I'll be honest, because
To bring up those ACEs.
why not? I mean, when is the best time to do it? Or when is the best time to talk about it? You can do it anywhere. It's just a discussion. It's just something to do. If you take the test, it takes you less than 5 minutes to take the ACEs quiz. You could take it, understand, and then go talk to your therapist, go check out some podcasts, whatever it is, to get your clarity and understanding of ACEs together. All the information is on the CDC. I've had people say, take it off the CDC and put it on your page. And that's understandable. That's okay. They want to hear from me. That's fine. But it's what you do with the information that's going to impact you.
And another thing, I think, it's never a bad time to talk about ACEs. I think it helps when you can validate what you've experienced, because a lot of times we minimize it. So when I'm able to talk with, even if I'm talking to a friend about similar experiences that we had, that helps me, because I know I'm not the only person who experienced this. And the bonding, how we get closer, thinking, oh yeah, hey, that happened with me and my dad too. So
I feel like growing up, no, I understand what you're saying. And I honestly think growing up, I'm from Kansas City, Chicago, Dallas. I think growing up with the friends that I grew up with, I think that was our bond. There was something that bonded us together. And I'll be honest, as a mentor, I feel like I've impacted thousands as a mentor. And I do believe that it's because of something, which is the reason why I'm glad that they updated the ACEs on the CDC so people can understand and know if you was bullied, which we all were.
Yeah.
We were all bullied. And then people are cyberbullying. It's happening, you guys. If we can have the conversation and people accept that we have it and we do something about it, I swear there will be a different people in the emergency room waiting, different people that are homeless. Homelessness, by the way, is actually included now.
I'm glad it's being updated, because all of these things are super impactful. They impact, again, how we see ourselves, how we see other people, how we see the world in general. And then we can have an eye opener to do something about it. Because oftentimes what I hear from people is, I want this person to go to therapy, but they won't go. And if you take this ACEs quiz or test, that may give them an indication to say, well, wow, I didn't know I'm an 8. This is super high.
Right.
What do I do about it? Well, we have something over here called therapy that could help you.
Mhm.
You could use the ACEs in that way.
You can. And I'm here to use it however I can. But I would love to have a therapist like you that, hey, you have the information, you seem relatable, you got an ACE score like me, you had experience, yes, you've been through some things, but nonetheless you've moved from your ACE score and made it a part of not only your practice, but you use it in your profession as a professor. And so you've made that impact, you've talked to those students. What do you say to your students? If your students know that you're a therapist?
Oh yeah, they do. They respect it and they like it. And I like when I had professors who were therapists too, it made it for a better experience because they could provide real life examples. They weren't just, come from the educator background, but they were in the field, in hospitals, in clinics. So when I talked to my students about it, they actually took their ACEs. They
Okay.
they they did. They put it in the I think we were virtual that day, so they put it in the chat. They shared. We had a full on discussion about it. And again, we watched Dr. Harris' video. So it was very normalizing and eye opening. But I think too, it helped to have deeper discussion about certain things. Because the great thing about college, we're thinking different. So sometimes we'll bring up a topic. It could be something on the ACEs test, and some students feel this way about it, and others feel a different way. So that we
Right.
can have a great, rich dialogue about it to look at different viewpoints about things, like you said, as far as how you parent, or even our own behavior and how that impacts our kids. Yeah.
I think it is a huge tool that people should use. Now, I will confess, I wasn't for sure if you did or if you didn't. I'm so glad that you do. I knew I was supporting the right people. And I say that because I've always, anytime you're on or, there's something, I always support it. But you've set this tone on social media where people are going to come and support you because you're relatable. And so I have to throw my hat off to you again, because it's people like this, you guys, the reason why you should go and seek therapy.
Yeah. Dr. Torie, I appreciate that. I always tell people, I tell the students, I tell other therapists, I mean, being relatable and having rapport is really half the battle. Like I can have all the degrees and
Yep.
the certifications. I've been, I graduated University of Michigan. I'm working on my doctorate now at Berry, specializing in trauma informed care. So ACEs, we talk about that a lot. But that's great, right? Having the accolades is great. Got awards that I've been received behind me, but being a person, being somebody who people can say, "Oh, okay, so you know about this," or I'm not judging them in the way I'm asking certain questions or giving them certain things to work on in between the sessions. That I think has taken me further than my degrees. I mean, the degrees have to be there. You have to have training,
Right.
but being able to, again, hold space. I don't specialize with kids, but I've worked with kids as young as like 6, 7 years old, at times, because I was the black male in the clinic. They said, "Hey, we got an 8-year-old, you the next person up." I'm like, all right. And I've worked with, 80-year-old white men who've experienced trauma and been able to help them. And that is because of my ability to, again, hold space for them and be non-judgmental in the process. So It's definitely a skill set, but it's needed when you're talking about helping someone. Because I just heard this earlier, and I really believe it. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to therapy.
I told y'all he was amazing because this is what we need. And at any point, you guys, you have a therapist that is not like this, you can leave. Nothing's holding you and saying, well, you have to go to this therapist because, am I right?
I've switched therapists. I can say this because I'm not the therapist. I had a therapist once who they were like, hey, we working on some how did she framed it, like she was doing something like some different healing techniques or something. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm interested to know what else you do besides just the talk therapy.
Right.
It was some type of multi-level marketing thing that I was like, this is terrible, right? That was the what are you pulling out the slideshow and the PowerPoint? I'm thinking you about to give me something that like a worksheet,
She's trying to put you on a Ponzi scheme.
pretty much. I was like,
And that's the reason why we need a lot of people. I've ran into a lot of people that don't even know the therapist to go to. So that's the reason why, you guys, again, we talked to Jason. He told us what he does, what he accepts, all of this, you guys. He also just said, if it's not working out, you can go to another therapist as long as you're getting what you need to get the help that you are requesting. I'm for it. I've had several therapists. My last therapist was a grief therapist. Um, I had to divorcee. I just wanted to make sure they saw that I was told to do the grief part because divorce is like grief. At first, I was like, "That's stupid," but when I went through what I went through, like the have homework and stuff like that, it was great. It helped me tremendously, and so I'm an advocate for therapy. Period. You just need to know what kind. You can't go to a, a, a therapist that's looking for one thing or looking for something else, and then their specialty is EMDR, and you're looking for somebody that's a psychotherapist. Is there too? You have to understand. So my job, and I'm hoping I get other therapists, which I do have some lined up already, to go ahead and speak upon their specialty and go from there. And when I tell you, I hope people understand and learn from this one for sure, because you are not only, and I've said it, a professor, a therapist. You're going to school to get your doctorate degree. I'm gonna shout myself off. If you're looking for a dissertation coach, let me know. I seriously do it for real. Yeah, I got about 3 people right now that I'm doing it for. I think it's so cool because, again, I put myself in a position as a first. I'm the first of both of my sides of the family to get my doctorate degree. And because I've been a mentor for so many years, so many people are saying I'm motivated to go back to school. I'm motivated to do these because I'm relatable. So
again, people need people that they can relate to. So I just had I guess you could say my first mentee. I had a therapist reach out and say, hey, can you help me with this, everything I'm going through? And I was glad to, one, because I like helping people, but also I know I have coaches. I'm a coach.
yes,
And I understand the value of being able to help someone in that space. But being relatable is the part.
I see.
There's tons of therapists, there's tons of educators, but when people, they trust you, they feel like you can help them, you're not judging them, you get them. And the term now, like you see them.
And you know what? Thank you. I appreciate this time. If you do not understand how much of an impact you are making, let me let you know. You're about to change the world. You already are. Your students know it, your clients know it, and I thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk to me. I look forward to continue work with you. I do, because you're so amazing. Let everybody out there know who you are and where they can find you.
Well, thank you first, Dr. Torie, for having me. I was looking forward to it. I'm not gonna lie, I've been saying no to a lot of podcasts, but I wanted to say yes to yours just because I really value the work that you do, being able to show up and just when you say ACEs, that's something that's my jam. I really believe in it. I know the value of discussions around ACEs. But let me answer your question. Who am I? I'm Jason Phillips. They can find me on social media at jphillipsmsw. That's on all platforms. I'm also host of the Peace and Prosperity podcast.
Mhm.
And if they want to work with me, visit my site, jasonlphillips.com.
Guys, you asked, I delivered. You asked about therapy, got you a therapist. Asked about Black men, 2 for 1. What else can we do to get this information about ACEs out? You can tune in all the time with me. I'm on YouTube as Dr. VicTORIEus. I'm on Instagram as Dr. VicTORIEus. I am on Facebook as Dr. VicTORIEus. On X, that's what they call it now, as Dr. VicTORIEus. Everywhere else as bevictorious.com. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.